The Vauxhall Corsa is a household name. Up there with the Volkswagen Golf and the Ford Fiesta, this budget super mini ranks among the top family cars in the race for annual sales supremacy. But now Vauxhall has rewritten the rulebook. As well as offering its evergreen small car with petrol and diesel power, it's now available as a pure electric model. Based on the same platform as the Peugeot E208, Vauxhall's first EV does battle with the established Renault Zoe, as well as smaller models like the Volkswagen E-Up and the Mini Electric. For years, the Vauxhall Corsa has been a staple of UK driving schools and a favourite for young motorists looking for their first taste of freedom. It's long been a no-nonsense, affordable kind of car, but for this latest generation it takes a leap if you like, into the world of electrification. It's possible we wouldn't even have an electric Corsa yet had Vauxhall not been taken over by Peugeot Citroën's parent company, the PSA Group, back in 2017. But that buyout has made cars like this possible. So, is it still a family favourite? Let's find out. The exterior styling of the Corsa-e differs little from other versions. All the changes are under the bonnet. In place of the petrol or diesel engine, it's driven by a 134 brake horsepower electric motor, drawing power from a 50 kWh battery. Maximum range in ideal conditions is 209 miles, but we'd expect to see more like 150 to 170 miles in real-world driving, depending on the outside temperature and how much time you spend on the motorway. Every version comes with a Mode 3 cable for public charging, but you have to pay a bit extra for a 3-pin plug, which seems a bit stingy in this day and age. The Corsa is available with either 7.4 kilowatt or 11 kilowatt charging capability, which means that Mode 3 cable would differ depending on which you opt for. That faster charging costs around £850, though all models are capable of 100 kilowatt DC rapid charging, enabling an 80% charge in as little as 30 minutes. In here, you'd never know you were driving an electric car because it all feels reassuringly familiar, with plenty of space to put all your odds and ends like phones, wallets and keys. High-spec models like this Elite Nav car get a glorious 10-inch touchscreen, but what's less impressive is interior quality in places like there's some really scratchy plastics on the centre console and on the doors. And that's the trouble, there are loads more luxurious and premium feeling alternatives, albeit with a petrol or diesel engine, that you could get for this car's £310 per month-ish finance payment. But on the plus side, there are loads of driver assistance systems like traffic sign recognition, blind spot monitoring and automatic emergency braking. There are only two specs to choose from at launch, SE Nav and Elite Nav, plus those two onboard charging options. The entry-level car costs from $27,665 after the plug-in grant have been taken into account, and features essentials such as a 7-inch sat-nav system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus climate control, alloy wheels and LED lights. Elite Nav brings luxuries like that aforementioned 10-inch screen, heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, matrix lighting, a panoramic rear-view camera and keyless entry. However, with prices starting from a smidge over £30,000, these cars are almost twice what a basic petrol model might cost. Performance-wise, this new Corsa-e really is as quick as you'd ever really want it to be. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes just over 8 seconds, but it's the 0 to 30 time that Vauxhall quotes all over its marketing material, and that takes just 2.8 seconds, which makes this car feel really quite quick around town. Raise your speed slightly, and actually this Corsa feels more than comfortable enough and more than capable enough all the way up to motorway speeds. That top speed of 93 miles an hour is applicable to all of the PSA products that sit on this platform, so it doesn't really matter which one you go for, you're lumped with that limited top speed, but it's not likely to be much of a problem for those buyers in the UK at least. You will find at the top end that this car suffers much like any of the petrol versions would as well, in that it runs out of puff when you really try and go for it. Putting your foot down at 60 or 70 miles an hour isn't going to result in lightning fast acceleration. The electric version is heavier than the turbo petrol version, so you will find that it bounces around a little bit more than you might expect. Now, the suspension is never uncomfortable though, it's actually really well damped, and you never crash through bumps and potholes, it actually rounds them off quite nicely. Now, that firmer suspension does give it a decent level of agility through the bends. The steering is light and there's not much feel. This is not, though, a hot hatch. It's not a mini electric, and it won't feel quite as engaging or entertaining through a tight set of corners. But most buyers won't care about that. This is a car that can get you from A to B comfortably and quietly. It is a really refined car. Even at motorway speeds, there's very little in the way of wind, whistle or road noise. Our car's on 17-inch wheels, and while I said before that does result in a slightly stiffer ride, it really doesn't affect how quiet this car is on the move. Running an electric car could work wonders for your bank balance. Yes, most EVs cost more to buy, but charge at home overnight on an off-peak electricity tariff and you could fill the Corsa's battery for a little over £3, a lot less than a tank of fuel. Then there's the fact that there's no road tax to pay. All electric cars are exempt from VED. And if you're a company car driver, in 2020 you'll pay no benefit in kind tax. This raises to just 1% in 2021 and 2% in 2022. Whichever way you look at it, that's a lot less than the equivalent petrol or diesel model would set you back. Now, there are a series of drive modes to choose from, but the parameters that they alter are minor. Most of it comes down to throttle response, and even in Eco, you've got a nice little level of shove when you put your foot down. I reckon most people will leave it in its default normal mode and take the range that they're given. In addition, there are 2 levels of regenerative braking. The first is a coasting mode, so when you lift off you feel very little, and the second applies the kind of regenerative brakes and captures energy that would otherwise be lost. That helps power things like the air conditioning and reduces strain on the battery. It's intuitive enough to use, and it's where we've left it the whole time we've had the car. Now, that range of 209 miles is not to be sniffed at. It's not in the bracket of the Renault Zoe, but it's much better than cars like the Mini Electric or Honda E. And that makes this car so much more usable. You haven't always got one eye on the meter, wondering where your next charge is going to come from. If, like most people, you cover less than 30 miles a day, you could feasibly drive this car all week without plugging it in at all. And when the time does come to plug in, you've got loads of choice in terms of charging speeds, and providing you've got the right cable, you can plug it in near enough anywhere. Do you know what? It's one of those electric cars that really does feel like it's built for the mainstream and for the masses, and that is a great thing. There's very little to complain about in terms of practicality. There's enough room in the back for adults to sit relatively comfortably, and there's little compromise to be made when it comes to boot space. Though you do miss out on the petrol car's underfloor storage, which leaves you nowhere to sling the charge cable. Even the dinky Mini Electric manages to offer that, so you'll need to factor this in if you're filling the boot with shopping or luggage. The last thing you want is them tangled up in the footwells, taking up valuable space in the back. In almost every conceivable way, this new Corsa-e is a fantastic small electric car. Its Peugeot underpinnings give it an agile edge, and once you've stomached that high purchase price, it's hard to argue with its rock-bottom running costs and real-world range. But the problem is that purchase price will be a sticking point for many new car buyers, because there are plenty of more capable, cheaper alternatives, and plusher, more premium rivals are not far out of reach. Head to DrivingElectric.com for all the latest electric and hybrid car advice, news and reviews, and check us out on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Finally, while you're here, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on notifications to ensure you never miss a video.